بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. إخوتي في الله، اليوم نبدأ بإذن الله تعالى وعونه وتسديده بأربعين نووية Inshallah. Today we're going to start with Al-Arba'in An-Nawawiyya, which is called 40 Hadith. ومؤلف هذا الكتاب النفيس, the writer, the author of this book, his name is Abu Zakaria Yahya ibn Sharaf An-Nawawi. Yahya ibn Sharaf An-Nawawi, Abu Zakaria. احفظوا أو اكتبوا. You all write it down or remember it. ولكن هو جدير بالحفظ. It should be memorized. هذا من أئمة الدين. These are from the Imams of Islam. So if we're going to know this guy and this tajir and this rich player and this basketball player, that football player or that wrestler, هذا أولى. This is more wajib on us that we know these people. Well, some people we memorize their numbers on their jersey, or we might memorize how much they make. We memorize their salary, or their free throw average, how many passes, how many touchdowns, how many. Ashya, ma fiha fa'ida, stuff that there's no benefit in it. Absolutely no benefit. So if we're going to know those things, we'll call it permissible. Then this is awjab. This is dururi. We have to know this. ولد في سنة 31 بعد 600 يعني 631 هجرية 631 Hijri in the 7th century. And he has other books عنده من مؤلفات من أشهرها, and the most known of his books هو شرح صحيح مسلم. He has an explanation of Sahih Muslim. Also, he has written a book, Riyadh al-Salihin, the Gardens of the Righteous. We want to go through these hadiths and explain it on that which is suitable for us. نريد أن نشرح هذا على ما يناسبنا في وضعنا. ما نستطيع أن نمر على جميع المنافع والفوائد. We can't mention all the benefits that's in it. ولكن الذي يهمنا, that which concerns us, right, and where we're at. In this first hadith, يقول المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى عن أمير المؤمنين أبي حفص عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله تعالى عنه قال: سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم يقول: إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله وما كانت هجرته لدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. This first hadith is on Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader of the believers, Abi Hafsin Umar ibn al-Khattab. He said, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, verily actions are according to intentions, and verily it's only for a person from the reward according to what he intended. So ever he made hijrah or he migrated for Allah and His Messenger, for verily his migration or his hijrah is for Allah and His Messenger. That's what he gets a reward for. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِدُنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا. Whoever migrated and got up and went to another country, Muslim country, left an area and went, that's what hijrah is, even from a country of disbelief or a country of fitna to a place where you can practice Islam. Whoever does that for worldly purposes, all for the reason of marrying a woman, for his hijrah is according to what his intention was. According to what his intention was. We want to look at what we benefit from this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالِ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. ماذا نستفيد من إنما? What does إنما mean? Allah, the Prophet said, Inna al-a'mal bin niyat. Called innama al-a'mal bin niyat. What does innama yufid? What do we benefit from innama, Abdul Hamid? Yufid al-hasr. That's correct. But like everybody might not understand that. Na'am. Everybody might not understand يفيد الحصر ولكن هو يجعل الكلام محدد. نعم. محصور. نعم. It makes the kalam restricted, limited. نعم. فمثلا إنما it means إذا أقول إنما أريد ماء. What does that mean? إنما أريد ماء. بمعنى ما أريد إلا ماء. يفيد حصر. ما أريد شاي ولا حليب ولا عصير. إنما أريد ماء. I only want water. I only want water. نعم. What does that mean? It means I don't want anything except water. This is what innama means. It makes the point limited. It makes it limited and restricts it. Makes it specific. When the man يفيد الحصر, يفيد الخصوصية. Makes it khas. This is what the word innama does. Naam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Meaning, what you're going to get, the action that you do, first he's talking about the action that you do, الأعمال التي تفعل, هو بحسب النية. هو بحسب النية. إذا فعلته لله ورسوله, فهو لله ورسوله. If you did, for example, what the Prophet gave here is an example. He gave an example of hijrah. He gave an example of hijrah. If the hijrah is for Allah and His Messenger, that's what the action is for, according to what's in your intentions. Now, if somebody migrated from one country to another country, not just for Allah and His Messenger, but he wants for purposes of tijara. Now, but that's what he's going to get his reward for. Now, he doesn't get anything part in the hereafter for it. If somebody went from one country to another country for a woman, then he doesn't get a reward for that in the hereafter. He gets whatever his reward was. These two examples, and the Prophet مثلا بمن كان هجرته لدنيا أو لامرأة, هل هذا جائز أو هو مثال ليس جائز? Did he give an example of something that's permissible, or he gave an example of something that's haram? Abdul Malik, هل هو جائز واحد يهاجر ويسافر لدنيا؟ نعم. Even though it's jaiz, it's permissible to do that. Even though it's permissible, your action is according to what your intention is. If you went over there to marry a woman, have a jaiz. Have a jaiz للنكاح. Have a jaiz. ولكن ليس لك أجر في الآخرة. ليس لك أجر في الآخرة. نعم. طيب هذا the أول ما نريد. That's what we want to benefit first. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. كل الأعمال التي نفعل. ما أريدنا أن نحدد الأعمال. أحيانا أذهاننا تكون قصيرة صراحة. Allah يوسعها. Sometimes our imagination is small. If you say that ibadat is only for Allah, we just think salah and hajj and zakah and Ramadan, and that's it. That's all. That's only where our minds can expand to. So when we say the actions according to intentions, we just say, oh, salah and Ramadan and hajj. That's it. Naam. So now today we want to expand our adhan, our minds, and know that all the actions, everything you do has an intention. Why are you in this masjid right here, right now? Did you get here accidentally or intentionally? Ataytuna amdan or khata'an? You came here intentionally. You had a niyyah when you came here. Everything you do has a niyyah. For you have to think beforehand and make your niyyah correct. Na'am. Aslih niyatik wa jaddid niyatik. Na'am. And niyyah, barakallahu feek, before we get into the hadith, tufarriq bayna umur. The niyyah, your intentions, it distinguishes between umur, between affairs. For example, كم ركعة للفجر؟ ركعتين. كم ركعة قبل الفجر؟ كم ركعة قبل الفجر؟ 2. So what's the difference? It's no difference. Set my niyyah. Set my niyyah. When I prayed before Fajr, I had intention for Sunnah. That was my niyyah. I wasn't praying Fajr. When you saw me praying those 2 rak'ahs, no. I was praying Sunnah, Mustahab. That was my niyyah. Then when I lahiqt al-jama'ah, when I got everybody else, my niyyah was what? My niyyah was fard. So, النية يفرق بين المستحب نعم والذي هو ماذا؟ واجب. نعم. وأيضا يفرق بين أمور. We're going to look at this. This is what we want to understand. Then your intentions, you mayyiz, and it distinguishes between the actions that you do. نعم. طيب يا إخوة, النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقبل الهدية ولا يقبل صدقة. نعم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم used to accept gifts, but he didn't accept charity. What's the difference? The gift, you give it with your right hand, and charity with your left hand? What's the difference between charity, sadaqah, wa hadiyah, a gift? What's the difference? A niyyah. Niyyatil mu'ti. It's just the intention of the one who's giving it. Nah. He just has to change his niyyah. هذا هم من أهل البيت وهذا ليس من أهل البيت. This person here is from the Prophet's family. The Prophet's family, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they can't accept charity today. And this one is not from the Prophet's family. No? So this one, when you give him money, you say, this is what? This is a gift. And this, for you, is charity. نعم. هو على حسب النية. نعم. ثم بارك الله فيكم. Who else do you give a gift to? If somebody has money, he's well off, you don't give him charity. But now you see this brother, you love him, but he's well off. But you want to give him something. تريد أن تعطيه شيئا أنك تحبه. You see this brother, he's doing fine. He has money, he has a car, he has family, he's well off, but you want to give him something because you love him and just want to give him something. You give him a gift. You don't say he has the sadaqah. He's going to look at you like, sadaqah? You're going to give me sadaqah? So you say, hadi hadiyya lak. This pen is for you. This chocolate's for you. This honey is for you. As a gift. وهكذا. There's a lot of different monies that maybe I could give somebody money. What's the difference between al-qard and charity? What's the difference between a loan and charity? I'm giving you the money. So a loan. I have a niyyati. That's my niyyah. I'm giving it as a loan. You have to pay it back. If I give it charity, sadaqah, you don't have to pay it back. أحيانا يكون وديعة. This money, I'm leaving it with you. I'm going to travel. I don't want to leave it in the house by itself. سأترك هذا مال عندك أمانة. وديعة. I'm leaving this money as a trust with you. When I come back, I need you to give it back to me. كل هذه الفوارق. You have charity, sadaqah, hadiyah, a gift. قرض, a loan, a trust, الوضيعة. They're all, what's the difference between them? You're taking the money, you're putting it in somebody's hand. ايش فرق بينهم؟ النية. نعم. ثم بعد الأشياء مثل القرض والوديعة, it's good to write it down. It's good to write it down. Maybe I might take this money and I give it to Abu Bilal. وأنا أبو بلال أصحاب من زمان. نعم. We're friends for the longest of time. And and I give him this money. And then when I travel, Abu Bilal raja'a ila Allah. I come back and I say to his sons, Allah yarham al-walid, I left with him $10,000. You see it in that tray? Abu Bilal, he didn't tell us nothing like that. What are you talking about? قال أنا عارف أباك نحن أصحاب من زمان اتق الله. It's going to be a problem. So those kind of things is good to write down. طيب. After that, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. وَإِنَّمَا. First he said, the actions are only according to the intentions. بِحَسَبِ النِّيَّةِ. وَإِنَّمَا. Now we have another clause here. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ. For every individual is what he intended. وَإِنَّمَا. This means it's another hasr. Is only for an individual from the reward is what his niyyah was. What his intention was. He doesn't get anything else. بِحَسَبْ نِيَّتِكَ. That's only you're going to get from your reward. That's the only thing you're going to get from your reward. What your niyyah is. For now, we want to look at some ahadith. And from today, right here, we want to nuwassa' al-niyat. We want to multiply our niyat. We want to enrich it. We want to make it bigger. نعم. هذا حديث هو في الصحيح عن أبي بن كعب قال كان رجل لا أعلم رجلا أبعد من المسجد منه. There was a man, and I don't know any man who lived further away from the masjid than him. كان لا تخطئه صلاة. The salah would never miss him. He never missed the raka'ah. He was on time of the salah every time, and he was the furthest away. فقيل له أو قلت له. It was said to him, or I said to him, لو اشتريت حمارا تركبه في الظلماء وفي الرمضاء. He said, I said to him, why don't you buy a donkey so you can ride this donkey when it's dark or when it's hot. So you get back, you're so far away from the masjid until ba'id. نعم. فقال ما يسرني أن منزلي إلى جنب المسجد. I'm not pleased that my house, I don't want my house to be next to the masjid. I don't want that. إني أريد أن يكتب لي ممشاي إلى المسجد ورجوعي إلى أهلي. من منا نتمنى أجرا إنما نرجع إلى الأهل. مساكين نحن مقبلون. أين هذه النية? Where's his niyyah at? فاتتنا أجور. خسرنا 40 سنة 50 سنة 60. وين نحن? He said, I don't want my house to be next to the masjid. I want that my footsteps are written down when I walk to the masjid and when I return to my family. How many of us are designing a reward when we walk back to our family? We walk back every day. We don't even think about it. We wasted it. Like, oh man, I wish I'd have heard this hadith 20 years ago. I could have been gathering up all that reward. I'm in need of it later. I went back home to my family on the freebie. Majana. I went back Majana. Freebie. Wallah kareem. وَإِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. You're acting according to your intention. Did you have an intention? Yes. I just wanted to see my family. I just wanted to eat dinner. I couldn't eat. أنام. خلاص أخاف نومك يا أخي. أخاف نومك. نعم. But you have to have a niyyah. For now, we want to recognize from here. كلما واحد يزيد في العلم يوسع النية. Every time he increases in knowledge, he's going to increase in his niyyat. Now, the niyyah is after al-ilm. أولا بارك الله فيكم نحن نعرف أن للأعمال شرطان أن للأعمال شرطين. There's two conditions for every deed. ما هما يا أنس? Every action for Allah to accept it has two conditions. What's these two conditions? So it can, hold on, that's Al-Anas. So it could be accepted by Allah. The one is niyyah, and the other one? Ya Shaheed al-Islam. What's the next condition? Action. What about the action? Ahsan. It had to be fi mutaba'at al-Rasul. It had to be in accordance with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. Nah. Hasn't been in accordance with the Prophet did. Nah. So when you have an action to do and you see that something is in accordance with the Sunnah and this is the action that you want, you put your niyyah in it. You have to have the action first, then you put your niyyah in it. So every time you have knowledge of actions, you put your niyyah in it. But you have to have knowledge. You have to have knowledge of all these actions. What did the Prophet do? You have to have all these actions. Once you have all these actions, put your niyyah there, put your niyyah there, put your niyyah there, put your niyyah there. Now, Tayyib. So he said, I don't want my house to be close to the masjid. Rather, I want my footsteps to be written when I go to the masjid and when I walk back to my family. I want my footsteps to be recorded. Ya subhanallah, fatatna ujur. A lot of rewards has passed us by. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قد جمع الله لك ذلك كله. وفي رواية قال أما إن لك ما احتسبت. هذا الشاهد. The Prophet ﷺ said to this man, Allah has gathered all of that up for you. Those footsteps that you wanted, Allah gathered it all up. And in another narration, قال لك ما احتسبت. For you is what you intended. هكذا. لك ما احتسبت. For you is what you intended. So every time we go back to our wives, we got what you intended. You wanted dinner? You got your dinner. You wanted to go home? You got your home. Nah. And this is now we want to increase ourselves. Nah. We want to increase. في البخاري جاء حديث عن معن ابن يزيد وفي بعض الصحابة ما قد سمعنا عنهم. معن ابن يزيد رضي الله عنه قال بايعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنا وأبي وجدي. يعني كلهم ما شاء الله صحابة وما عرفنا معنى فضلا عن أبيه وجدي. نعم. These three people were companions. Him, his father, and his grandfather. They all gave bay'ah to the Prophet. He says, Kana Abi Yazid, Ma'na, he's talking about his father Yazid, أخرج دنانير يتصدق بها فوضعها عند رجل في المسجد. My father, he used to take some money that he had with his in the house. He used to come to the masjid and he used to give it to a particular person. I used to see him. He used to take this money that he had in the house and he used to come to the masjid and give it to a man. فجئت فأخذتها فأتيته بها. So I came one day, I took the money and I came and I gave it to that person. قال والله ما إياك أردت. My father came and he said to the man, Wallahi, it's not you that I wanted my money to go to. That was not my intentions. قال والله ما إياك أردت أريد أراد. I didn't want that. That was not my intention. قال فخاصمته إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The son said, so I took the issue to the Prophet so he could decide what happened. He had to give the money back. I gave this man the money, and he probably took the money. He's going, he spent it. أخذ المال وتصرف. نعم. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لك ما نويت يا يزيد ولك ما أخذت يا معن. نعم. The Prophet said, you have what you intended, Yazid. You wanted to give the money to somebody else, Allah's going to give you according to your niyyah. And whatever you took and you gave them, you get a reward for that. Everybody gets their reward according to what? To their intentions, according to their intentions. So some of these are hadith qad sami'nahu, but now we have to know, when you have an action, you have to put the correct niyyah in it. Even if it's something, not just wajib, not just something mustahab, but mubah, something that's permissible, like walking back home. Something like what? Helping somebody else. Taking some money and give it to somebody else. جاء في الصحيح عن أبي موسى رضي الله عنه أن رجل أعرابيا أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. A رجل from the A'rab, the Bedouin, he came to the Prophet. فقال يا رسول الله, he said, O Messenger of Allah, الرجل يقاتل للمغنم والرجل يقاتل ليذكر والرجل يقاتل ليرى مكانه فمن في سبيل الله. He said, a man fights, this is in the time of the Prophet, a man fights for the magnum, for the war booty, to gather up the worldly affairs after the war. And a man fights so that he'll be mentioned. They mention him good. And a man fights so that he can see his position. Which of these is in for the sake of Allah? فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من قاتل لتكون كلمة الله الأعلى فهو في سبيل الله. Whoever is fighting for the purpose of the name of Allah and the word of Allah to be on top and the religion of Allah to be on top, that's the one that is what? Fi sabilillah. So people do one deed for different purposes. People might do one deed for different purposes. Now, imagine somebody built bana masjidan hatta yuzkar, hatta yura. Imagine somebody built a masjid for the purpose of saying, mashallah, he built it here. That's a big masjid he built. He built the biggest masjid. He built the most beautiful masjid. It's according to what the niyyah is. انظر إلى هذا الحديث. Niyyah is not just in the good deeds, it's also in what? The bad deeds. It's in the bad deeds. وهذا في الصحيح عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه قال فيما يروي عن ربه تبارك وتعالى. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, in what he narrates from his Lord, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إن الله كتب الحسنات والسيئات. Allah wrote down the good deeds and the bad deeds. ثم بين ذلك. Then he explained it. The Prophet then says, فَمَنْ هَمَّ بِحَسَنَةٍ فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا كَتَبَهَا اللَّهُ عِنْدَهُ حَسَنَةً كَامِلَةً. Whoever thinks about doing a good deed, he's thinking about doing it, then he doesn't do it, he's not able to do it, it's written down for him a good deed. He wants to go, and he wants to give somebody sadaqah, or he wants to go pick up the kids and take them to the school, and when he wants to go do this, it rains, and he stopped. He wanted to do it, but he's prevented from doing it. That's a good deed. Because his niyyah was there. وَإِنْ هَمَّ بِهَا فَعَمِلَهَا. If he thought about doing it, and he actually did it. قَدْ قَامَ بِهَا أَرَادَ أَنْ يَعْمَلْ وَوَفَّقَهُ اللَّهُ فَعَمِلَهُ كتبها الله عنده 10 حسنات إلى 700 ضعف إلى أضعاف كثيرة. Allah writes down for him 10 good deeds up to 700 times. The least, but one deed, if you do it, Allah's going to give you 10 good deeds. The least, up to 700 times. On the opposite, relax. وَإِنْ هَمَّ بِسَيِّئَةٍ فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا كَتَبَهَا اللَّهُ عِنْدَهُ حَسَنًا كَامِلًا. If he's thinking about doing a bad deed, he's thinking about doing something haram, then he didn't do it. He stopped. Allah writes for him a good deed. وَإِنْ هَمَّ بِهَا فَعَمِلَهَا كَتَبَهَا اللَّهُ سَيِّئَةً وَاحِدًا. And if he thinks about doing a bad deed and he does it, Allah just writes it down, it's one deed. But now let's go back. This is but tafsil. This is according to the situation. If somebody wants to do haram, he wants to do a dhanba, he wants to do something that's not permissible, and he stops on his own self, he changes his mind, min qibli nafsihi, waqaf, na'am, he gets a reward. Na'am. Amma in hamma bi sayyi'ah, faja'a sarif, ja'a sharti, ja'a al-matar, na'am, ja'a habis, fahada alayhi wizr. If he wants to do an evil deed, but when he was going to do it, the police came. Or somebody came, something happened. Something stopped him from doing it when he was determined to do it. That's a sin on him. كيف نعرف هذا؟ الحديث الذي بعده. وعن حديث أبي بكر رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا التقى المسلمان بسيفيهما فالقاتل والمقتول في النار. If two Muslims, they meet with their two swords and they're fighting one another, then the killer and the one who got killed, both of them are in the hellfire. Two Muslims, they're fighting. Na'am. إذا التقى المسلمان رجلان بسيفيهما كل واحد له سيف. They're fighting. The Prophet ﷺ said the killer, al-qatil, wal-maqtul, and the one who got killed, both of them in that fire. Abu Bakr قال يا رسول الله هذا القاتل فما بال المقتول. He said, this is the killer. It's clear what he did. Now what about the one that got killed? The one that got killed. قال رسول الله إنه كان حريصا على قتل صاحبه. He was anxious to kill his partner. Anxious. Now, يدل على ماذا؟ نية. He was anxious to kill him. Allah is going to hold him accountable for his niyyah. Only thing that prevented him what? He got killed first. So some people want to do something haram, but something stopped them other than themselves. The rain came, the police came, somebody was there, they couldn't get in. Imagine somebody wants to go rob a house and tries to get in, he couldn't get in. The doors was locked too much, and he left. You have to make tawbah for that. You have to make tawbah for that. وكل هذه النيات. فالآن, sometimes we're in situations, where we may not have the capability to do things. مثلا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقول اللهم إني أعوذ بك من العجز والكسل. Sometimes people have ajaz. I seek refuge from ajaz, incapability. Imagine how many people they used to go to the masjid all the time. ثم كبر سنه. Then he becomes elderly. He can't go as much as he wants to. He's elderly now. Or maybe he's busy. Or maybe he has to take care of somebody at the house. He can't come as he used to. فالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من حديث أنس قال وهو في غزاة. He's in a ghazw. He's in an expedition. And they're traveling. قال إن بالمدينة لرجالا ما سرتم مسيرا ولا قطعتم واديا إلا كانوا معكم حبسهم المرض. There's some people behind us in Medina. When the Prophet, he got his army together and they went out in the ghazw. So while they're out in the ghazw, he says behind us خلفنا بالمدينة رجال. There's some people in Medina. ما سرتم مسيرا. You haven't gone any distance. ولا قطعتم واديا. You haven't passed by any valleys. Except they're ma'ahu. They're with you. These people are still with you. حبسهم المرض. Their sicknesses and their incapability stopped them from going, but their niyyah, they wanted to go. And they have that niyyah. They have that niyyah. So this just shows us, we want to make this relative. نريد أن نجعل الدرس مناسب. ماذا نستفيد من هذا؟ لابد أن ننوي. نتمنى خير. نرجو خير. We have to have the desire of good niyyah, trying to do good. The likes of this comes from Jabir, who was in Bukhari. قال كنا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في غزاة. We were with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم in a غزوة. قال إن بالمدينة لرجالا إن أقوام بالمدينة خلفنا. There's people behind us in Medina. ما سلكتم شعبا. You haven't gone up to any mountain. ولا واديا. You haven't gone down to any valley. إلا وَهُمْ مَعَنَا فِيهِ. Except that they're with us in this mountain and they're with us in this valley, in this wadi. حَبَسُهُمُ الْعُذُرِ. Their excuse that they have, their udhr, whatever they be sick, when they may be poor or they may be busy, it preoccupied them from coming. في النهاية يا إخوة هناك أعمال ممكن ما نفكر فيه. نعم. انظر هذا الحديث ويتفرع منها أشياء كثيرة. أن امرأة من حديث ابن عباس أن امرأة أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال إن أمي ماتت وعليها صوم شهر. My mother died and on her she still owes a month of fasting. أرأيت, the Prophet said, أرأيت إن كان عليها دين أكنت تقضيها عنه. Do you see that if your mother had a dain, if she had a debt, would you pay this debt for her if she had money and she owed a debt? قالت نعم. She said yes. فقال دين الله أحق بالقضاء. That the debt with Allah has more right that you pay it. نعم. So you can fast for people that owe fast. You may have a relative that owes fast. You may have a relative that owes money. You ever think about paying somebody's debt? How much money do you give out in charity? You ever think about paying somebody's debt? Nah. Or making hajj for somebody that can't make hajj. And you could go on and on and on with these kind of what? هذه النيات. نعم. طيب بالعكس هناك نيات يعني ما نتصدى لها لقلة العلم. نعم. Example, إذا واحد أساء إليك. Somebody did you wrong. رفع صوته فأنت تواضع. لماذا تواضع? Somebody came in your face. He's screaming at you in your face. He's speaking bad about you. طيب أنت تواضع. You because you know the ajr in it. Because you know the reward in it. You make your niyyah. Say, listen, I'm not going to engage in this. ما سأتصرف مع هذا الرجل سأعرض عن الجاهلين. I'm going to go away. Because of you know that this action is mahmood. You know that this action is praiseworthy. Once you know about an action, then you can make your niyyah and do it. Like, and you have to know these things. نعم. فبعض الأعمال هي نية فاسدة. يعني في حديث طويل أنتم تعرفونه. أول ما يشتعل به النار يوم القيامة من حديث أبي هريرة. The first people that the hellfire is going to be raised for, the first people that are going to be put in the hellfire is a رجل علم القرآن والثاني قاتل في سبيل الله والثالث تصدق. نعم. One person he fought for the purpose of Allah, the other one he gave charity. Naam. And the other one he taught Quran. Naam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him, what did you do? Naam. Qala ana allamtu kitabak. The first one he says, I taught your book. The other one says, ana anfaqtu malan fi sabilik. I spent money in your cause. The other one says, qataltu fi sabilik. The other one says, I fought. Each one of them Allah says, kadhabta, you lied. فعط هذا من أجل أن يقال شجاع أو من أجل أن يقال كذا. نعم. All of them Allah said you lied. You only fought just so it could be said that you're brave. Or you only gave so it could be said that you're generous. You only taught Quran so it could be said that he's a qari, he's a reader. That's the only reason that you taught Quran, so you could be praised. Naam. So that's what you call a niyyah fasida. Some people, their niyyat is fasid. Their intentions is corrupted. Naam. So you have to always check your niyyah. You have to always check it. Well, Aishul Kibr, هذا النية. وإيش هو الحسد؟ هذه يصدر من القلب. These things, they come from the heart. نعم. You have to احبسها. What is خيانة? هذا النية. It's خيانة. What is it to be disloyal and distrustworthy? Somebody trusts you with money, trusts somebody with money, and he takes the money. هذا النية فاسدة. This is the worst of niyat. This is the worst of niyat. So you have to protect yourself from that. Some of these niyat تدس وتدب على أناس وهم في غفلة. نعم. These niyat, they come to us slowly. نعم. وَالشَّيْطَانُ يُزَيِّنُهَا لَنَا. Allah, Shaitan beautifies things to us. Now, there was a time maybe that some people, they would never think of stealing, never think of lying. But then Shaitan beautifies these things and they start considering it. So you have to always renew your intentions. Check your intentions. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us, فَيَقُولُ وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. There's several ayats like this. Hunafa. There's several ayats like this. We want to take this and we want to stop here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ. They haven't been ordered with anything except to worship Allah. That is sufficient right there in ikhlas. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that says, مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Making their actions totally for Allah. حُنَفَاء. طيب ما معنى حنفاء؟ حنفاء هو جمع حنيف. ما معنى حنيف؟ ما كان إبراهيم حنيف يهوديا ولا نصرانيا ولكن كان حنيفا. ما معنى حنيف؟ مقبل إلى الله. أحسنت يا أبا بلال. ما معنى حنيف عندك يا عبد الحميد؟ يا إبراهيم. One who worships Allah alone. نعم. ولكن أحنف is somebody that's مقبل على الله معرض عما سواه. نعم. He's somebody that's advancing towards Allah and he's turning away from other than Allah. He's not just at a standstill. He's advancing towards Allah. Hanif. He has an inclination. Na'am. He's advancing towards Allah and also fleeing from other than Allah. Na'am. Fleeing from other than Allah. Na'am. For example, ya ikhwa, how can somebody here in America avoid at-tashabbuh bil-kufar? How can you avoid imitating the disbelievers? I mean, you're here. Everything, you go to the store, you're here. You have to يتعمد حتى يتشبه بالكرام. You have to do it intentionally. Now, you can't just be here. I'm just here. My heart is tayyib, and you just go. No, you have to try to go out of your way to look like a Muslim, talk like a Muslim. Everybody, they have their speech. نحن قليل, نحن كلنا. نعم. All the things have to do with niyat. فهذه الأمور كان يقول من ظن أنه أخلص نيته وأيقن وتيقن أنه أخلص نيته فإخلاصه يحتاج إلى إخلاص. نعم. Whoever thinks, and some of us would make small at this niyyah, whoever thinks that they have perfected the niyyah and they're sincere, then his sincerity needs more sincerity. This is something that we're always in question about. Nah. And we always want to check our intentions. So now we have to check our intentions sometimes with the closest people that we deal with every time. Check our intentions with our wives. Nah. Check our intentions with our children. Nah. Check your intention in the matter تتكلم أنك لا تتكبر وأنك لا تستهزي. You know, that you're not just being arrogant. You're not just being hard and brutal. You're not just being against the grain. Nuh-uh. You're not refusing because it's really difficult. You just don't. I don't want to help out. That's why. You have to check your niyyah and everything. Don't just say, Ana Tayyib, my name's Abdul Hakim, I'm in Bayt Tayyib, I'm Tayyib. No, you have to look at everything that you do with everybody. نعم. مرة أنا كنت في اليمن فجلس مع الرجل فقال لي يا عبد الحكيم أنا أحبك في الله وأحرجني هذه الكلمة. Somebody came to me and I sat down with him and said, I love you for the sake of Allah. And when he said that to me, man, I was just so embarrassed because inside I hated him. كنت أبغضه. I disliked the person. Then I was thinking, ليش أنا أبغض هذا الرجل؟ ما عندي ولا سبب واحد ما حصل بيننا شيء. Except أنا من نيويورك نحن ما نحب الشخص حتى نبغضه. القاعدة عندنا. When he said to me, I love you for the sake of Allah, man, I was just embarrassed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That this guy exposed me, fadahani. Man. Then I'm trying to look why I don't like him. I don't like him. Except that I'm from the Bronx. We don't like people till we dislike them. You got to go through my dislike phase. If you finish that, maybe I like you. ونقول سبحان الله ما نيتي تعبان. ما نية ما هو طيب. So we have to check that all and everything that we have with ourselves. You have to say, what is your niyyah? Why? Why you love this? Why you hate that? Why you do the things you do? And why you refrain from the things that you refrain from? It's all because of a niyyah. It's not just the salah and the zakah and so it's every single action that you do or even don't do. Or even don't do. نعم. فنسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يصلح قلوبنا. So your qalb is called the qalb and who يتقلب. Your heart is always changing. So you always have to check your niyyah. You always have to ask Allah for ikhlas. You always have to ask Allah يطهر قلبك to purify your heart. It doesn't have any hasad in it. You won't have any hasad today and tomorrow. You don't have an envy today. Tomorrow you might have envy. Tomorrow you might have kibr. You might have kibr today and tomorrow you get rid of it. But next year, things happen. Things happen. فنسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يصلح أمورنا. This kind of a mind that you have to remind our children with this and we're trying our wives with this. So now when you deal with your brother and you see that he has an attitude with you or even your wife, you might just say, Subhanallah, have a yom sabah. She has a bad day. He's having a bad day. I have my bad days too. I have my bad days when niyati ta'ban. I have my days when I have my bad. And you see that she has a bad day, unsack it. You just be quiet. You just take it with the smile. Allah ya'inana jami'an subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.